Hey there, this is Am-K, and you're watching part 6 of my series about the Benoit family murders. Today we'll be looking through the crime scene unit reports. We have a lot to get into today, and I actually don't think I'm going to be able to get through all of the summaries in this one video. I think I'm going to have to break it up into at least 2 parts for 2 reasons. The longer the video, the longer it takes me to edit, and the longer then that it takes to put it on YouTube so you can watch it. And another reason is the longer the video, the more space it takes up, and I run into issues saving it to be able to upload it to YouTube. I am working really hard to get all of these pieces to part 6 out to you before Christmas, and then over Christmas I'm gonna try to take a little break and just spend time with my family, and then I'll get back to it. So thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you find what I have to say even a little bit interesting, and please share if you know of anybody who might be interested in this. And if you're not subscribed, why not subscribe? I have more stuff coming and more to go in these Benoit files. So we have a lot to get into today, so let's get to it. Alright, we're going to dig into the investigators' summaries. And we have at least 10 individual reports to go through, so we'll get through as many as we can. Warning, this video contains graphic descriptions of a crime scene. Viewer discretion is advised. Alright, and we are going to get into it today. We've got the crime scene unit reports. Let's start with Lieutenant Trey Powell of the Fayette County Sheriff's Office Crime Scene Unit. I arrived on the scene at 15:15 hours, which would be 3:15 p.m., along with investigators Rojas and Deputy Sergeant Russell. We parked on the shoulder of the road due to the gate being secured. We climbed over the gate and proceeded to the residence. As I walked up the driveway, I noticed several people standing to the far left edge of the driveway. The people were neighbors of the resident. Placing gloves on our hands, we entered the residence through a door that was to the right of the garage. This door showed no signs of forced entry. Once we entered, I could smell a strong, foul odor in this area. I noticed several suitcases by the door that seemed to be empty. I then set some items on top of a dog kennel that was blocking the door to the garage. I got barked at by a dog that was inside the kennel, along with another dog that seemed a little calmer at the time. There were 2 kennels, and they were blocking the door to the garage. We then met with Lieutenant Pope to find out what had occurred. I then asked to see the bodies first, and we would go from there. Lieutenant Pope then directed us upstairs to a suitcase to the left of the kennel cages. The staircase led up to a bonus room. We entered the bonus room. I noted that it was an office/glory room. To the right of the doorway and across the room, you could see a person lying on the hardwood floor. It looked to be a female. The body was covered with a somewhat heavy blanket, covering her whole body except her feet and head. The head was exposed, and you could see a white cord that looked to be tied around her neck. You could also see a black cord around her neck. The cord proceeded down her back, but we were not ready to move the blanket as of yet. Her face was badly decomposed, and there was a small pool of blood in front of her face and mouth. She was lying on face down, with the right side of her face pressed to the floor. No injuries were noted at this time. I was then directed through the residence, noting the house as I walked through. From the staircase, we walked down a hallway. The hallway had a laundry room to the right, a small half bath to the right, and a door to the outside on the left. The half bath had 3 or 4 kittens inside, so I made sure I closed the door. The door to the outside led to the porch, down some steps, and into the backyard where the pool was located. The hallway led into a breakfast area and a kitchen. At this time, I noted nothing remarkable in this area. We proceeded through a living room to a second staircase. This staircase leads to the second floor of the residence. At the top of the steps, we turned left to one of 4 bedrooms located on that level. As we entered the first bedroom, we will call this room number 1 on this floor, I noted a small boy laying face down with his left side of the face lying on a pillow. His right side showed signs of petechiae, hemorrhages. The boy did look as if he were asleep at the time of his death. I noted no bindings on his body. Now, if you're familiar with what the mainstream story is of this, then you are aware that they claim that Chris Benoit murdered his son Daniel by performing his finishing wrestling move on him, which was the crossface. I'm about to show a video clip of Chris Benoit performing his finishing move, the crippler crossface, on Chris Jericho. Some may find this disturbing.
Got the knees up, though. Oh, there we go. He's gonna look to it. He's gonna look to the Benoit. The whole thing. Benoit has got the crippler crossface on Chris Jericho. And he had better tap out there. It's a wise thing to do. And then hope for the best in the second fall. Tap out. It's 2 out of 3. The cold-hearted Benoit will rip everything that's attached. And the next gonna go. And then Jericho, he taps out.
So that's really bothersome to me because in these police reports, they consistently state there was no signs of a struggle for Daniel or for Nancy. They say that no signs of a struggle in the home. And they say that Daniel looks as if he was asleep. And I'm going to get into more of that later. In my opinion, that has something to do with the prescriptions that were found in the home more than it does with Chris Benoit having this roid rage episode and just killing everyone over a 3-day period in a rage. I don't know. But we will get into that another time. Right now, I'm just focusing on what these investigators found. But a not-so-fun fact, WWE bans all talk of Chris Benoit. However, they have not banned the use of the move alleged to have killed Daniel the Crippler Crossface. Let that sink in. But let's continue. We then left the child's room and went back down the stairs and continued on to the lower/garden level of the home. At the bottom of the stairs, we turned right. We went through a living room area and into a workout room. As you walked through the door, I noticed a white male hanging from a cable on a weight machine. The weight machine was pulled up by the pulleys and several free weights sitting on top of the pulley weights. The cord around his neck had a piece of cloth between the cord and the neck. I noted his nose had a blood smear. I noted no injury here. There was also a small bruise below his left eye. No bruising or any other markings were noted on his body at this time. At this time, I instructed Investigator Rojas to start photographing the scene on the outside. I also called Deputy Sergeant Mary Harris to come to the scene to assist us. I had Deputy Sergeant Russell start photographing the inside of the residence. The exterior of the residence is described as a very large house, taupe gray in color with white trim and black shutters. All the doors and windows on the residence showed no signs of forced entry. At the time of my arrival, the door to the right of the garage and back door were unlocked. One of the garage doors was up about 2 feet and could be entered. However, the door leading from the garage to the residence was locked, and the dog kennels were in the way on the inside. The front was protected by an electric gate and a stone wall with iron fencing on top. This area could be climbed over very easily, and which is funny because remember the big fiasco with the gate, and they just had to get that neighbor to open that gate and those vicious dogs. The driveway is a pavement drive that runs from the road to the garage with a turnaround area opposite from the garage. A concrete drive starts approximately halfway up the paved drive and circles around in front of the residence. To the right of the residence is a thick wood line. On the left side of the house is another house that can be seen from the driveway. The rear of the residence has a yard that is fenced in by an iron-type fence. The backyard also has a pool with a concrete walk around the pool. A play set can be seen from the backyard, but it is not inside inside the fenced area. The house has 9 exterior doors leading to all sides of the house. The interior of the residence is described as very spacious. Starting with the garage had no vehicles in it at the time of our investigation. The garage had shelving with cleaning items and miscellaneous items. There were several children's tools, ladders, bicycles, and other household items. The door, as I have mentioned previously, was blocked by dog kennels. When walking into the residence through the interior garage door, the staircase to the bonus room is to your right. It also brings you back into the hallway to the main level and the side entry door. This hallway leads you to the kitchen/dining area. The bonus room where the female victim was found was full of novelty items from the homeowner's work/business. This room also contained frame photos of the family members. A large built-in desk contained financial records and other documents also related to the family business. The only items remarkable in the room were several coaxial cables that were on the floor at the top of the female victim's head. Oh my God, do you see how frustrating this was trying to piece together the crime scene photos? It's like he's walking in circles. After noting these items, I went back down the stairs that leads back into the hallway. To the left is the door leading to the garage with a storage closet before you get to that door. Proceeding down the hallway towards the kitchen, on the left was a door that led outside to a porch. On the right were 2 doorways. The first door was a laundry room. The laundry room was unremarkable except for 2 rolls of black tape that was sitting on top of a counter located in that room. The next room was a half bath that contained several kittens. I noticed at this point were several pieces of white fibers that were similar to the rope that was around the female victim's neck. This hallway entered into the kitchen/breakfast room area. This area produced only one item of interest, which was a sock that had a large stain that looked like blood on it, located in the kitchen trash. It was on top and was not concealed by any other trash. The living room, dining room, and library area that was beyond the kitchen had no remarkable interest to the investigation. At this point, we came to the staircases that led to the upper level and lower level. Walking past the staircases, we come into the master bedroom. The master bedroom consisted of the normal furniture as seen in any home. Within the master bedroom was a room that looked to be a sitting room. A master bathroom was off to the right of the room with a closet beyond that. The room had several pillows strewn on the floor closer to the left side of the bed. The bed was unmade, and look, now we have some new information. The bed was unmade with several stains that looked to be blood stains. Everything else looked consistent with normal living. So there are blood stains on the bed. The hall closet showed no signs of remarkable evidence. Something I want to say here, they are stating that Benoit had this blood on his nose that just disappeared by the time he got to the coroner. And they're telling us they also found stains that looked like blood stains on the bed in the master bedroom. And they also say they found what they say was a makeshift gag that was soaked with dried blood. And they want us to believe this took place over a 3-day period. Okay. Did anybody check the showers or the bathtubs for traces of blood? You know, over a 3-day period, did he wash off any blood? Did anybody check that? Because the blood just seemed to disappear from Benoit, so I'm just curious. One more thing to interject. So you expect us to believe Nancy just allowed Chris to tie her up with her hands up behind her back as far up as her shoulder blades with a white cord and a black cord around her neck and put a ball gag in her mouth? If you expect us to believe that and that he had no injuries on his body, then where's your roid rage story? Maybe you should be looking more at like a weird sex thing going on. If you're saying that Nancy was tied up like this with a tube sock in her mouth, but yet there's no scratches or anything, just a small bruise below his left eye. He was a wrestler, so I mean, I could show you 100 internet pictures of him with a black eye. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I am just pointing out what I think are obvious questions. But anyway, I'm really gonna shut up. We have to get through this. Let's see what else is in here. From this point, I continued to the upstairs. At the top of the step, I stepped into a hall that went both right and left. I went left into the first bedroom on the left, bedroom number 1, and I noted a white male juvenile laying on his bed. He looked to be asleep. However, you could see some blood settling in his toes and his side from where his shirt was pulled up. The room was consistent with a child's room, somewhat messy, but nothing out of the ordinary. A bathroom was attached to this room and a closet. Nothing was remarkable these areas. The bathroom led from the child's room back into the hallway. Turning right from the boy victim's bedroom, I continued down the hallway. To the left was a bedroom, number 2, that was made for a small girl. It was decorated accordingly with stuffed animals and Barbie-type dolls. The closet had boxes inside and small girl clothing. On the same side of the hallway was another bedroom, number 3. This room appeared to be a guest room with a large adjacent bathroom. At the very end of the hallway was another bedroom, number 4, which was decorated for a small boy. This room was painted red. There were several action figures in the room. There was nothing remarkable about these rooms. All the rooms emptied out into a hallway and a playroom. The playroom was decorated with wrestling posters and had numerous toys that were related to the wrestling sport. There were toys strewn from one side of the room to the other, but there was nothing remarkable in this room either. I proceeded downstairs to the main floor and then into the basement area of the residence. The downstairs room consisted of a kitchen/living room area with a door that went out the side of the residence and one that led out to the rear of the house below the back porch. The room had no remarkable signs. Coming out of this room back into the hallway was a bedroom that had the normal amount of furniture. What's the normal amount of furniture? Okay, sorry. With a bedroom that was attached to another bedroom. Neither one of these rooms showed anything out of the ordinary. These 2 bedrooms emptied into a living room with a fireplace. The next room down on the left would be best considered as a maintenance/storage room. The heating and AC units were in this room along with the hot water heaters. There were a lot of decorating items stored in this room. The last room was on the far side of the living room. Furthest from the staircase was a long, narrow room with one door leading out to the backyard underneath the back porch. This room had several weightlifting machines. The room was decorated with mirrors on the wall and motivational decor. There were several torn towel pieces laying about the room, a wine bottle behind the door that led back to the living room. This is where the male of the household was found. From a weight machine, the actor had placed a towel around his neck and then looped a rope with a clip device around his neck. Weights that were attached to the machine, along with several dumbbells, were added to the machine for counterweight. The bar that the clip device usually held was also added to the counterweight. On the floor below the subject, there were 2 dumbbells. Behind the subject was a water bottle with a green liquid residue. The doors downstairs were all noted to be locked. The interior of the residence looked to be under normal living conditions with no remarkability of a struggle or a fight. The victims. Nancy Benoit. Nancy was found in the upstairs bonus room. She was found in the right corner of the room. Next to the right side of the body, a Bible had been laid on the floor. I also noted several flies were circling the victim. She was found laying face down with her head laying on its right side. Her face was in advanced decomposition with blood pooled on the floor. You could not determine if any injuries were on her head or face at this time due to the amount of blood and decomposition. No rigor mortis was noted in her body. A pillow lay on the floor above the head and looked out of place. No blood was noted on the pillow. A heavy red throw/blanket was covering her body except for her head and feet. After photographs were made of how she was found, the blanket was removed. Nancy had a white shirt on and blue pajama-type pants with multicolored stripes that ran from her waist to her feet. Her hands were tied behind her back with an S-video cable very tightly. Her skin was pinched by the cable, and her hands looked to have lost circulation before death. A coaxial cable was then wrapped around her hands and extended to her neck and wrapped around her neck. Her neck also had a small white rope that looked to be wrapped around her neck. At this time, it could not be determined how the rope or cable was wrapped around her neck. This will be done at a later time or date during the autopsy. Looking at the skin that was exposed, I noted that both of her arms showed signs of decomposition. The skin on her arms had also begun to slip off. Her feet were tied together using a black tape, a similar tape used for working out. On the outside of that tape was a charging cord. At this time, a body bag was placed beside her, and she was rolled and placed on top of the body bag. I then noted the stomach area looked bloated. Nancy's chest area, both upper arms and face area showed signs of advanced decomposition. The body bag was then closed up. No other useful evidence was located in the area where the body had laid. Daniel Benoit. Daniel Benoit was found in the upstairs bedroom that looked to be his bedroom. He was found lying on his stomach with his head on its left side facing right. He looked to be in a sleeping position with his right leg bent at his knee with his right foot pressed up against his left leg. He was wearing pajama bottoms and a blue t-shirt with SpongeBob on the front. Now that's odd because didn't the other crime scene supplemental say he was wearing blue pajamas with baseballs and basketballs on it? I don't know. I'm going to go back and look, and I'm going to edit in a screenshot of that right here. Starting with the head of the victim, I noticed a white froth was coming from what looked to be his nose and mouth. His face showed signs of petechiae, hemorrhages, on his right side of his face, showing signs of asphyxiation. There was also purge fluid coming from his nose and mouth and soaking the pillow that he laid on. His right hand was extended out with a children's Bible propped on top of his hand. No rigor mortis was noted in his body. Lividity had formed in his left arm and left side of the body. You could also see lividity had formed in his left leg and left foot. You could not see any type of injuries on his body at this time. Now this is important. After Daniel had been removed, we noted a kitchen knife underneath his bed. The knife looked clean with nothing attached to the blade or handle. Remember that. And keeping true to form with the narrative that this is a murder-suicide, now suspects, Chris Benoit was found in the basement area in the workout room. He had used a rope from a lifting machine to wrap around his neck. The rope had a carabiner clip device. So now we know how it was attached. It was looped around and attached by a carabiner. The rope went through to tighten as weight was added. Underneath the rope was a torn towel. He was dressed in a red pair of shorts, shoes, and socks. Starting with his face, I noted that below his left eye was a small mark that looked like a small bruise. On his nose was a blood smear with no injury noted below the smear. His stomach area showed signs of lividity, and his body still showed signs of rigor mortis in the arms and legs. At this time, we cut the rope on an inside pulley, and the rope was pulled through to allow the body to be laid down. I noted no other bruising anywhere on his body. On his left hand, I noted and photographed a black mark that looked to be caused by a rubber thin cord. How can you tell that it... Anyway. On the right index finger, I noted a couple of small blood stains on his right index fingernail. It looked to be blood splatter. On the back of his neck, I noted what looked to be a pinch mark from the rope. His body was then placed into a body bag and removed from the residence. The bodies were then removed to be taken to the crime lab for autopsies. After the bodies were removed, there were several items collected and put into my vehicle to be placed into evidence, as shown by the chain of custodies in the case file. End of report. Signed, Reporting Officer Lieutenant Trey Powell, Approving Officer M. Harris. And then there's some supplements to that report. Oh, and that's one thing I need to add. This crime lab, bodies were removed and be taken to the crime lab for autopsies. That crime lab, I was talking in one of the other parts about a connection between this case and Kendrick Johnson. And that's where we get into that with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations at the crime lab. So, okay, we were looking at this supplemental. This is dated September 11th, 2007. There's that 9/11 again. On 6/25/07, we were searching the residence for anything that could be related to the deaths of the 3 subjects in the residence. While searching the master bedroom, I opened a top drawer of a stand-up dresser and noted 2 white boxes labeled testosterone prescribed to Chris Benoit. Also in the drawer, I noted several syringes inside individual packages. These items were left in the drawer to be photographed. Now, in my experience, syringes inside individual packages are unused syringes. To me, unused syringes in packages does not necessarily indicate steroid usage. Did we find any needles that were outside of packages? Needles that clearly had traces of a substance in them? I guess we'll see. And there's 2 other supplemental reports from Lieutenant Powell that he was there to witness the autopsy, and that's what's in that report. So I'm going to include that when I focus on the autopsy. Right now, we're just looking at the supplementals for specifically the crime scene. And I think I'm going to end this here because, like I said earlier, I need to limit the length of these videos. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up and share. And I will continue going through these crime scene summaries in a follow-up to this part, and we'll keep going through them until we get through them all, as many parts as it takes. So if you stuck with me this far, thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. This has been Ann K, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!